This is an example of using TK Dialogues to apply for a financial services product. On this occasion, we're using TK Dialogues in a self-service mode. So the applicant themselves is filling in at least this first part of the application process. And so maybe on a website or through a link, they have the ability to log in to TK Dialogues, and then TK Dialogues will lead them through the application process and make sure that their information is submitted to Dynamics so that it can be used then internally in later stages of the process. So I'm going to log in as Abigail here, and I've entered my password. When I click through, I reach a dashboard which is showing me the things that I can do, which could be dependent on various settings that I've got against my account in Dynamics. So here I've got access to view my previously submitted applications. I only have one of them here, and I could go in and just modify a few details or add some notes against that. I've got a list here of my in-progress applications. So these are ones that I have started previously, but not completed yet, and I can come back to them and fill in the missing details and then submit them. And at the point of submission, they would then be available for the later stages of the process internally in the organization. And I could also modify my personal details, which would then be reflected on future applications as well. But what I'm going to do here is click on New Application and choose the application type. I'm going to go for an unsecured loan. And what that is now doing is it's creating the application record and all of the linked records associated with that application in Dynamics. So it will be creating links into some client records, just one client record at the moment for the primary applicant, and all of those things are linked together. And we also have some other information that has been created, like an address, an initial address, which has come from the client record, and some initial employment information that we had from previous applications for this client. But if I click on the Summary tab, now you can see that we have an indicator here that the applicant is missing some information. So we don't have incomings and outgoings entered for this application, and the logic that's been built into TK Dialogues says that that is required before we can submit this application. And if I just continue at this point and say, right, I'll come back to my applicant details at a later stage, then I go back to my edit application stage. You can see that we've got this application, and there's the reference number. So the application has been created in Dynamics, and at the moment it's just got one applicant, the primary applicant, which is me, Abigail Avery. But on the right-hand side, you can see that the status is missing details, and then the options that I have down at the bottom here are that I can save the current status of this application, in which case it would go into that list of in progress applications that we saw before, and then maybe I would be able to log out and come back to it tomorrow or the day after, or whenever, when I've got the missing bits of information, and I could pull it out of that list of in progress applications, and then resume and get back to this point and fill in the missing details. And when all the details are complete, I should get another option down here that allows me to submit the application and then that would mark it within Dynamics as being a submitted application that can move on to the next stage. And in fact, it will go into the completed applications tab on my little dashboard that I have as well. Or I could cancel the application as well at this point. So what I will do is, I won't bother adding a new applicant, but I could add multiple applicants at this point. And again, for each one of those, I would go through the process where I had all those tabs of being able to enter the assets and liabilities, incomings, outgoings, and the personal details and stuff. But I'm just going to go back into Abigail's record again. So as we saw earlier, we've got some missing incomings and outgoings that we've never entered for Abigail in the past. So we'll need to fix that before we can submit the application. I could also update some of the details. So I can see that there's a few missing details here about Abigail, and I could just put those in if I want to. I've got my contact details, addresses. So we could have multiple addresses. We could have multiple employments. And similarly, we could add a new asset. Let's add a new asset in here. So what's the asset type? We'll say it's a deposit account. And we could use it as security. And I could upload any documentation that I need to support this application. And here I'm prompting for a recent bank statement, which obviously I've not got for the demonstration, but I do have a social security card, which I'll use in its place. And now I can click on the tab here and enter the asset details. So which bank was it? So it was Bank of America. And it's a savings account, let's say, and I can enter my account number. I've not put any validation on this account number field, but TK Dialogues lets you very tightly validate each of the input fields. So if, for example, the account number had to be of a certain length, or it had to begin with a certain sequence, then all of those validation rules could be built in quite easily into TK Dialogues. And let's just put a value in here, say 20,000 and 15,000. And then when I accept those, this new asset record will be added into Dynamics and will then appear in my assets tab. So you can see that that's the one at the bottom here that I just added. And I could do similarly for liabilities, and the two that I'm missing, as we said earlier, are incomings and outgoings. So I'll just add one of each of these, and then we should be able to submit the application. So I'll just put in some mostly zeros. And continue through. So again, as we go through each of these pages, the information is captured and is submitted to CRM or Dynamics, and is then available if we do need to come out and then resume later. So I'll do a similar thing now for outgoings. These are my monthly outgoings. I'll just whiz through by putting mostly zeros in. But in fact, in this demonstration, it would add all of those values up and then put them into the summary record that is created in Dynamics for this outgoing. And now you can see on my summary tab that that red text that said I was missing some information has now gone, and it says the applicant has met the minimum required details. I could still go in and add more outgoings or assets or whatever I want to do, but I am now able to just continue off this page, and then hopefully in the edit application page, this applicant now has the status of complete. You can see that now on the right hand side, and because all of the applicants associated with this application are now complete, then I get the additional option down here to submit the application. So I could still just pause it at this point and come back to it later if I think I do need to make a few tweaks. But what I'm going to do now is submit the application. And I'll just confirm that. There's confirmation my application's been submitted. And really all it's done in Dynamics is just change the status of this application. All of the details have been there in Dynamics all along. It's really just a case that we've changed the status of it. And now if I look in my submitted applications, I should have that additional one. And there we see it at the bottom here. So that's just a brief demonstration of how you can use TK Dialogues in a self-service mode of operation to complete part of an application process for a financial services product. Thank you.